Hello, it's Antonio Wima. It's been a while. Now, in this video, we want to look at development of the heart tube. Though we want to look at development of cardiovascular system, but we are going to be taking the cardiovascular system in sequence. Now, the first one we want to look at today is the development of the heart tube. We want to look at how the endocardial heart tubes are formed. So that's what we want to look at. If you remember, during the third week of development, now this is a view from an above. So this is the way we are doing the third week of development. Yeah, so this is a view. Yeah, so this is a view of an embryo from an above. So this is what we call view from an above. Now, if you look at this developing embryo, this is the cranial part of the embryo, and this is the what? Caudal part of the embryo. Now, at the caudal part of the embryo, we have what we call the what? Cloacal membrane. So this is what we call the what? Cloacal membrane. Then, moving cranially, we have the what? Primitive streak. So this is our what? Primitive streak. Yeah, so there's a cord-like structure that extends from the primitive streak to the buccopharyngeal membrane. This is the buccopharyngeal membrane. This is our cranial portion. So this is what we call the what? Buccopharyngeal membrane. Buccopharyngeal membrane. Now, so there's a tubular structure that extends from the primitive streak to the buccopharyngeal membrane. What's the name of that structure? That's what we call the what? Notochord. So this is our notochord. So let me use this. So this is our what? Notochord. This get-like structure is our notochord. The notochord extends between the primitive streak to the buccopharyngeal membrane. Now, at either side of the notochord, we have the intra-embryonic mesoderm developing. So this is a view from an above. So I want to use this to explain the development of the heart tube, because I'll be making use of two views. Now, first of all, when we talk about development of heart tube, there are some cells that arise from the primitive streak. You know, the primitive streak is just like a house for proliferating cells. You get it? So when those cells originate and arise from the primitive streak, those cells begin to migrate bilaterally. You get? They migrate outward from the what? Primitive streak. So these cells that migrate outward from the primitive streak wants to give rise to the heart. So that cell is what we call the what? Progenitor heart cells. So these are the what? Progenitor heart cells. Progenitor heart cells. Now, when we talk about the progenitor heart cell, it means that these are the heart cells that arise from the primitive streak that want to give rise to the heart. So when the progenitor heart cell arise from the primitive streak, these cells begin to migrate cranially. Do you get? You know, before they migrate from the primitive streak at the caudal part of the embryo. So as they begin to migrate cranially. Do you get? So they migrate bilaterally. So when they migrate bilaterally, on reaching the cranial aspect of the embryo, these cells, which are the progenitor heart cells, they come together. They form a collective mesodermal cells. So look at it at the cranial part of the embryo. Yeah. So they are connected together at the cranial part of the embryo. What is collected together? It is the progenitor heart cells that arise from the primitive streak. So when they move to the cranial part of the embryo, they collect together as an horseshoe-shaped mesodermal cell, which we call the what? Primary heart fluid. Primary heart what? Fluid. That is why we call this place the cardiogenic area. Tell you that is the area where the heart develops from. This primary heart fluid is seen at the middle of the third week. That is why we know that. That is why you must know that the heart is formed at the middle of the third week. Because the primary heart fluid is evidently seen around day 16 to 17, which tells you that it is at the middle of the third week. And you need to know that the heart starts beating around the 5th to 6th week of development. You need to take note of that. So we now have mesodermal cells clumping together at the cranial aspect of the embryo, which are the progenitor heart cell, and it has given rise to what we call the primary heart fluid. So it is the primary heart fluid that will make up the heart tube. Is the one that will form the structures of the heart tube. Now, for example, the primary heart field is the one that gives rise to the primitive atrium. So this primary heart field forms the what? Primitive atrium. As well as it also forms the what? Left ventricle of the heart tube. Yes. Now, this is a view from an above. Now, I want to explain this development of heart tube using another view. Now, for example, let's take a section of this embryo at this cranial part. Let's take a transverse section, a cross-sectional view. Now, let's take it like this. This is a cross-sectional view. So when we take a cross-sectional view of embryo, then we see it like this. This is the ectoderm. Then at the middle of the ectoderm, we have the what? Notochord. Then at either side, we have the phalangeal mesoderm, the intermediate mesoderm, and the what? Lateral plate mesoderm. You know, the lateral plate mesoderm is divided by a structure here. We call it intraembryonic velum. So the intraembryonic velum divides the lateral plate mesoderm into two. The one in contact with the ectoderm, which we call the what? Somatic lateral plate mesoderm. Somatic lateral plate mesoderm. Yes. Why this lateral plate mesoderm in contact with the endoderm? So this is the endoderm. Is what we call the what? Splanchnic lateral plate mesoderm. Splanchnic lateral plate mesoderm. Yeah, so these are the intraembryonic mesoderm. You get, they are located bilaterally. So this structure we have here is also located here. So this is the phalangeal mesoderm, this is the intermediate mesoderm, and these are the two lateral plate mesoderm, which is the somatic lateral plate mesoderm and the splanchnic. Now, why I'm using this view? This view is what we call the what? Cross-sectional view, or also called the what? Transverse view. Now, why I'm looking at this view is because we want to look at where exactly the cardiogenic area is located. Now, in this view, we already noticed that the cardiogenic area is located at the cranial part of the embryo. That tells you that development of heart tube starts at the cranial part of the embryo, which is your head. Then later on, the heart will begin to move towards its original position, which is the normal position, which is the thorax. Do you get it now? So it is from this view you understand that the heart develops around your head. Do you get it? Now, using this view tells us that this cardiogenic area is located at the what? Splanchnic lateral plate mesoderm. So this is where. So this is it here. This is our what? This is the primary heart field. Yes. So from this view, we can now detect that the primary heart field is located at the splanchnic lateral plate mesoderm. That tells you that among the three germ layers of the embryo, it is the mesoderm that gives rise to the heart. But which mesoderm, to be precise, it is the what? Splanchnic lateral plate mesoderm that gives rise to the heart, because that is the cardiogenic area. That is where the heart develops from. That is what I want you to know with this view. And another thing you need to know about this cross-sectional view is that the heart that is developing are two. We have two endocardial heart tubes developed. Why? Because the structure here is also located here. So that tells that we are having two heart tubes to be developing at first. But with the aid of this view, you cannot see it. Do you get? Because you are only seeing the view from above. You are only seeing the embryo from above. So you are only seeing that it is only one heart that is developing here. But normally, during embryonic development, it is two heart tubes that are developing, which you can see with the aid of this cross-sectional view or transverse view. Now, let's continue. Now, there's something I want you to know. That during subsequent development, this primary heart field, you know, I said the primary heart field forms the primitive atrium and the left ventricle. Then around day 20 to 21, this primary heart field, do you get? You know, the primary heart field are made up of cells, a clump of mesodermal cells. So when those mesodermal cells proliferate, Do you get? They give rise to another AT2, another AT field rather, in order to keep elongating the AT2. Now this is our what? Primary AT field. Do you get? Now when the primary AT field divides, it forms another structure here. Yes. Which we call the what? Secondary AT field. So let's say this is our what? Primary AT field. Now the next structure formed around day 20 to 21 is what we call the what? Secondary AT field. Because it is this secondary AT field that will keep elongating the AT2. Because these two structures, which is the primary AT field and the secondary AT field, will form the AT2. Do you get? But the secondary AT field is elongating the AT2 because it is the one that will form the outflow tract. It is the secondary AT field that is going to form our right ventricle, which is our bulbous cordis. Like, let me use bulbous cordis. It's going to form the bulbous cordis and the truncus arteriosus. Yeah, truncus arteriosus. So that's what the secondary AT field will form. You see this thing that I'm saying, you are going to understand later on if I'm explaining the structure of the AT field in details. Now, we have formed the primary AT field and the secondary AT field. Now, you know, when we are developing the heart is not complete yet without forming some vessels around the heart. That's why we call it cardiovascular system. Heart and its vessels. So how can the vessels of the heart be formed? You know, we have already formed our heart tube because what makes up the heart tube is the primary heart field and the secondary heart field. So vessels needs to form along the heart tube. That's what I want to look at here now. Now look at this structure. This is our ectoderm. Yes. So we also have here to be our notochord. Then we have the paacial, the intermediate, and the what? Lateral plate mesoderm. Same thing at this lateral part. We have the paacial, the intermediate, and the two lateral plate mesoderm, which is the splanchnic lateral plate mesoderm. You get? That is our area of concentration because it is this mesoderm that is going to give rise to the heart. Now, coming off from the mesoderm, which is the splanchnic layer, there's an outgrowth that comes off from here. So we also have here to be our what? The heart. Then here to be our pericardium. Here is also our heart, and here to be our what? Pericardial cavity. Now, what happens here? Now, you need to know that. Yeah, so you need to know that during the development of the heart tube, there is a structure, they get a growth factor secreted by the endoderm. You know, we already have the formation of our heart tube, which is coming from the primary heart field and the secondary heart field, because they are the one that was formed the structure of the heart tube. But we want to form vessels along the heart tube. So how is that possible? That is when the endoderm secretes a growth factor. We call the growth factor VEGF. The VEGF simply means vascular endothelial growth factor. That's not VEGF. So this VEGF secreted by the endoderm will cause the splanchnic lateral plate mesoderm to start differentiating and specializing. Now, can you see what happens to the what? Lateral plate mesoderm? They form an outgrowth. And as they form an outgrowth, you notice that another cavity is developing alongside the heart tube. So now this is our what? This is our heart tube. Now, this cavity developing alongside the heart tube is what we call the what? Pericardial cavity. Yes, you know, the pericardium is going to enclose the heart. It's the membranous covering to the heart. Yeah. So, what is vascular endothelial growth factor doing to the heart tube? Now, let's say, for example, we have the heart tube to be like this. This is the heart tube. Yeah, let's continue. So the heart tube is made up of what? The primary heart field, which is going to form our primitive atrium and the left ventricle. Then it's also made up of the what? Secondary heart field, which is going to form the what? Bulbous cordis and the truncus arteriosus. So these are what form the structure of the heart tube. Now, the vascular endothelial growth factor released by the what? Endoderm, because the outer core. Let me use this outer core as red. It will cause this outer core of the heart tube to develop into what we call what? Angioblastic cord. Angioblastic cord. Why that same vascular endothelial growth factor? Because this inner core where the primary heart and secondary heart is forming the structures of the heart. It's going to make those inner core to differentiate into what we call hematocytoplastic cord. Please, are you guys following me? Now you need to know that the outer core of the heart develops from the angioplastic cord. Tell you that the angioplastic cord is going to form the endocardium and the blood vessels. You know, the endocardium is just one of the heart walls, layers of the heart. Immediately after the heart, you arrive at the what? Endocardium. Do you get what I'm saying? Which is the inner lining membrane of the heart too. Now the hematocytoplastic cord is the one that will give rise to our what? Blood island. Yes, blood islands. You know, when this gives rise to vessels, what happens? The vessels are responsible for the what? Transport of blood. So vessels will enter the heart field and continue as well. Blood islands in the what? Heart tube. That's one thing I want you to know. So that's what the vascular internal growth factor is doing. Apart from specializing the splashing vessel, is also forming vessels along the heart. Then formation of more vessels. This process is what we call vasculogenesis. The process involves formation of vessels of the heart. Though more vessels of the heart will be formed later on, which I'm going to talk in my other videos. That is what we call angiogenesis, where you have more formation of blood vessels alongside the heart tube. Now, that is all about that. Now, I want you to know that there are two heart tubes that are developing, which I've said earlier. And they are located around the what? Head region and the cranial part of the what? Embryo. Do you get? So, how can we make these two heart tubes to become one? Because we can only have one heart. Yes, we can't have two hearts. So it's only one heart we need. So how can these two heart tubes become one? That is when the embryo will undergo what we call lateral folding. So it is lateral folding that will cause two heart tubes to become one. Do you understand my point now? Let's see how the lateral folding looks like. So this is it here. This ectoderm will come together. Do you get? So when we come together, it will be something like this. Yeah, this ectoderm has come together. So that is what we call lateral folding. Once you look at how these two heart tubes become together. How these two heart tubes become one, rather. So when this ectoderm comes together as a result of lateral folding, that is it there. Then what happens? The parenchymal mesoderm and the other mesoderm also come together. Then we have structure like this, including the notochord. So it will be this. Then we also have this and this. Yes, that tells you that the other mesoderm have come together doing lateral folding. Then what happens to the splashing mesoderm? They also come together. That's what we call lateral folding. So when the splashing mesoderm comes together, then you notice that the structure is like this. And we now have our what? The heart tube. Now, this is what we call what? Lateral folding. So this is our pericardium, our pericardial cavity, and this is our what? Our heart tube. Now, can you see that as a result of lateral folding, as the embryo is folding laterally, do you get? As they undergo transverse folding, what happens is that these two heart tubes has become one heart tube, which you can see here. Now, there's something the lateral folding also changed. You will notice that there are two pericardium as well. As a result of lateral folding as well, the two pericardium has become one. And due to that lateral folding, the heart tube, which is one, is now suspended within the pericardium. Can you now see that the heart tube is located in the pericardium? All this occurs as a result of lateral folding. So this is the heart tube that is formed. And you know, the heart tube now is located in the what? Pericardium. And you know, the pericardium is made up of fluids and so on. In order to prevent the floating of heart tube from the pericardial cavity, then there's a fold of mesodermal cell that is going to form, that is going to connect the heart tube to the what? Pericardial cavity. This fold of mesoderm is what we call the what? Dorsal mesocardium. Dorsal mesocardium. Yes, a fold of mesodermal cell that connects the heart tube to the pericardial cavity in order to stabilize the heart tube in the pericardial cavity. Now, as we are looking looking at the heart tube. Let's zoom the heart tube. Let's zoom it. Now this is the heart tube. You will notice that I said the outer core of the heart tube is made up of what? Endocardium. Yes, endocardium. So this is the heart tube, which is made up of what? The primary heart fluid and the secondary heart fluid. Now, there is something that is forming outside endocardium, which is derived from the cardiac myoblast. It is derived from what? The cardiac myoblast. That is what we call what? Myocardium. Myocardium is derived from the cardiac myoblast. So this is the myocardium. Let's say this is our what? Myocardium. Yes. Now, between the endocardium and myocardium, there is a gel-like structure that is going to fill that space. That space is also secreted by the cardiac myoblast. That gel is also secreted by the cardiac myoblast. That gel is what we call the cardiac jelly. We call it what? Cardiac jelly. Though this cardiac jelly is very important because it's responsible for septation of the heart, yeah, and it's also responsible for thickening of the heart wall. That is what we need to know about cardiac jelly. It's one that fills up the space between the myocardium and the endocardium of the heart tube. Now, we already know that within the heart tube, there's presence of what? Primary heart fluid and the secondary heart fluid. If you remember. Now, let's look at the structure this primary heart fluid and secondary heart fluid will give rise to. Let's look at the heart tube in a lengthwise manner. Let's look at it. This is the diagram of the heart tube. Yes. We have it like this. Yes, so this diagram of the heart tube. This. Yeah, so this is the diagram of the heart. This heart we are looking at. This is the diagram. This is a lengthwise diagrammatic expression of the heart tube. So this is the cranial part, and this is the what? Caudal part. These are the vessels that are forming alongside the heart tube. This is the heart tube. So inside the heart tube, the structures that reside inside the heart tube is coming from this primary heart tube and secondary heart tube. If you remember, this place is what we call the sinus venosus. Yes, so these are what? Sinus venosus. You know, I'm arranging it from powder to cranium. This heart tube, this is how it looks like. Now, I said the primary heart tube will give rise to what? To the primitive atrium and the what? Left ventricle, which is the primitive ventricle. So primary heart tube becomes the what? PA, which is the what? Primitive atrium. Yes. Then it's also going to form the what? Primitive ventricle, which will give rise to our what? Left ventricle. That's all about the primary heart tube. Then the secondary heart tube elongates the two, just like I said, which is going to form the bulbus cordis and the truncus arteriosus. So these are bulbus cordis. Bulbus cordis is divided into two parts. We have the proximal 1/3 of bulbus cordis. Yes, proximal 1/3 of bulbus cordis. Then we have this to be the conus cordis. And lastly, formed by the secondary heart fluid is the what? Truncus arteriosus. Truncus what? Arteriosus. Yes. So this is the structure of the heart tube. This question usually come out very well in the exam. They can tell to draw the structure of the heart tube. So this is how it looks like. Do you understand my point now? So this heart tube is going to give rise to critical structure in our future heart. This is not our future heart. The heart I have, this is not how it looks like. Because all these structures will later undergo some change. That is what we call cardiac grouping, which I'm going to look at. Then they begin to give rise to our structures that is present in the future adult heart. So let's look at what all these things will become in the future adult heart in a nutshell. Now, for example, before that, at this sinus venosus, there's something we call the right arm of sinus venosus. Why this place what we call the what? Left arm of sinus venosus. Now, within this arm of sinus venosus, there are presence of veins. Do you get? It's those veins that carry blood into the what? Heart tube. Now, what are the veins? From outward to inward. This one here is what we call the what? Right common cardinal vein. What I call it? RCCV. We call it right common cardinal vein. You know, this right common cardinal vein, they carries blood from the other part of the body into the what? Heart tube, into the heart tube of the developing fetus. That is the common cardinal vein. Now, the second one is what we call the what? Right umbilical vein, RUV. Yes, the RUV is the right umbilical vein. Guess where this is bringing blood from? The right umbilical vein is bringing the blood from the what? From the placenta. Do you get? So that is here, it's bringing the blood from the chorionic villi, which is the primitive placenta. Then it carries the blood into the heart tube. Then the last one is the what? Right vitelline vein. Yeah, the RVV, which is the what? Right vitelline vein. Yes, the right vitelline vein is bringing the blood from what? Yolk sac. Then the blood enters into the what? Sinus venosus and goes up. So that is the function of this what? Vein. They feed blood into the heart tube. So if these veins are right, then this vein will also be the left. So coming from here, we have the left common cardinal vein, we have the left umbilical vein, and we have the left vitelline vein. So that is about the heart tube. So this is the structure of the heart tube. Now let's look at what this heart tube will become in adult life. Yeah, so for example now, the right common cardinal vein, though we are still going to be looking at this in details. This is where I'm going to talk about development of inflow and outflow tract. But for now, I'm just going to list what they are going to become in the adult heart. Now, for the right common cardinal vein, the right common cardinal vein is going to become the superior vena cava. You get? The right common cardinal vein, the right common cardinal vein become the what? Superior vena cava. Yeah, so that's what the right common cardinal vein will form. You get? The right vitelline vein will become the what? Inferior vena cava. So the RVV will become the what? Inferior vena cava. That's what they become in adult life. Then this right umbilical vein and all these one in the left, they regress around 6 to 10 weeks of development. They regress. Though this did not regress, which is the left umbilical vein, but later on at birth it's going to regress and become the ligamentum teres, which I'm going to explain later on. Then what happens is that the sinus venosus is going to give rise to the sinus venosus is going to give rise to the what? Smooth portion of the atrium. So that's what the sinus venosus is going to give rise to. Smooth outflow portion of the what? Atrium. Then the primitive atrium is going to give rise to what? Right and left atrium. That's what the primitive atrium give rise to. The primitive atrium is going to give rise, let me write it here, it's going to give rise to what? Right and left atrium. Yes, that's what the primitive atrium will form. Then the primitive ventricle is going to form the what? The left ventricle. Yes, it's going to form the left ventricle, the primitive ventricle. Then the proximal 1/3 of the bulbus cordis is going to form the what? Right ventricle. So that's what I just wanted to know. Then the conus cordis will form the smooth outflow portion of the ventricle, and the truncus arteriosus will form the pulmonary trunk, and the aorta. You get? The ascending aorta to be precise. So that is what all this structure will give rise to in the future adult heart. So that's what I just want you to know about the development of the heart tube. So this is the structure of the heart tube in details. Now, there's something I want you to know about the heart tube. You know, I said, when the heart tube is developing, do you get? The heart tube develops like a straight tube. Do you understand my point now? So we need this heart tube to bend. They need to bend so that they can give rise to normal shape of the heart. Do you get what I'm saying now? Our heart must not be like a straight tube like this. So it has to undergo some bending action in order to determine the fusion shape of the heart. Do you get what I'm saying now? You know, normally in the adult heart, the primitive atrium is up while primitive ventricle is down. Now look at this here. You notice that primitive atrium is caudal while primitive ventricle is cranial. So as a result of the what? Cardiac looping. That's what will restore the normal position of the heart. That is what will restore the normal position of the chambers of the heart. That's what we call cardiac looping. So when we talk about cardiac looping, yes, cardiac looping. The cardiac looping occur around day 23 to day 28. Do you get? Because we want to determine, we want to change the shape of this heart tube. We don't want an heart to become like a straight tube. We want it to be like a bilateral shaped structure, like an upside down pyramid. That is the normal shape of the heart. So how will this thing occur now? Let's say for example, we have the what is it called, the heart tube to be like this. This is my what? Heart tube here. So we have here to be the what? Bulbus cordis, the truncus arteriosus, the bulbus cordis. Then we have the what? Primitive ventricle, primitive atrium, and the sinus venosus. Now during cardiac looping, now this is the what? Truncus arteriosus, the bulbus cordis. We have this to be what? Primitive ventricle, then primitive atrium. Now there's something I want you to know about cardiac looping. Now during the cardiac looping, what happens? The truncus arteriosus and the bulbus cordis, they move caudally to the right. Can you see the way they are changing? These two here, which is the truncus arteriosus and the bulbus cordis, they move caudally to the right. So when they move caudally to the right, the structure is like this. So this is my what? Truncus arteriosus. This is my what? Bulbus cordis. This is my what? Primitive ventricle. This is my what? Primitive atrium. And this is my what? Sinus venosus. Then we have it to be like this. Now, can you see the changes that occur to the heart tube? The bulbus cordis and the truncus arteriosus, they shift caudally to the right. That's the first thing that occurs during cardiac looping. Then, if you notice, as these truncus arteriosus and bulbus cordis are shifting caudally to the right, what happens to the primitive ventricle? The primitive ventricle begins to move forward. It begins to move upward to the left. Are you guys getting my point now? So that is how cardiac looping occurs. So at the end of cardiac looping, we already have the heart tube to be like this. So this and this. So this is my primitive atrium. This is my truncus arteriosus. This is my bulbus cordis, because bulbus cordis will later become our what? Right ventricle. And we have here to be our what? Primitive ventricle, which will later become our left ventricle. And then we have this here. This is our what? Our sinus venosus, the veins that make up the sinus venosus, the midline vein, the umbilical vein, and so on. So this is the structure of the heart tube immediately after cardiac looping. Now you notice that at the end of cardiac looping, what happens to the primitive atrium? They move dorsocranially and they are bilaterally located. So the essence of this cardiac looping is to like the cardiac looping ensure that those chambers of the heart are located in their normal position. Now can you see before? The primitive atrium was caudal and the primitive ventricle was cranial. By result of cardiac looping, what happens? The primitive atrium is now cranial and the primitive ventricle and bulbus cordis is now caudal. So this is what we call cardiac looping. Now can you see that this one look pretty much like the shape of the heart. So as time goes on, it will also change and later form the major heart shape, which we have now, which is an upside down pyramid structure. So this is all about cardiac looping, and it occurred during day 23 to day 20, day 23 to day 28. You know, when there is problem associated with the cardiac looping, do you know what it is going to cause? It can cause a lot of what? Malformation. Do you get? Whereby the heart will not be located at the right, but at the what? whereby the heart will not be located at the left rather, but at the right. You know, normally the heart should be located at the left side of the thorax. So if there is problem associated with cardiac grouping, the heart can be located at the right side of the thorax, which we call the what? Dextrocardia. We call it what? Dextrocardia. Yes. When we talk about dextrocardia, we can talk about the clinical correlate. Dextrocardia is a condition whereby the heart is located at the right part of your what? Thorax instead of the left. That's what we call dextrocardia. It's a form of situs inversus. You know what we call situs inversus? Situs inversus is a generalized name given to a structure that becomes transposed. So when the heart becomes transposed, you get, we call it dextrocardia, telling you that the heart is located at the right instead of the left. And you know, when somebody have dextrocardia, the great vessels, the pulmonary trunk and the aorta, they are also transposed. That's what we call transposition of great vessels. So that's what dextrocardia causes. Is a form of situs inversus. You know, when normal organs are located in their normal position, what we call that? We call it situs solitus. Yes, situs solitus. But if it is transposed, we call it what? Situs inversus. So that's what you need to know, that when an heart appears to be a mirror image of its normal position, that is what we call what? Dextrocardia. Now another thing I want you to know is that, you know, I said earlier that the heart to begin to develop from your head, then later on it is going to move to your thorax. There is a folding that makes the heart move from your head to your thorax. That folding is what we call craniocaudal folding. Please don't forget. You call the folding what? Craniocaudal folding. Yeah, so it is this craniocaudal folding that will enable your heart to move from your head to your thorax. That's what we call craniocaudal folding, because we don't want the heart to be in your head. Okay, so it has to move to your neck, then to your thorax, where it is what? Normally placed. But failure of the heart to move from the head to the thorax, it can cause what we call what? Ectopia cordis. Yes, ectopia what? Cordis. You know, ectopia cordis is a condition whereby the heart is located outside the thorax. The heart is located in other region aside from the thorax. And where the heart should be located? The heart should be located in the thorax, in the middle mediastinum. But now the heart can develop anywhere. It can be located in your head, in your neck. That is what we call the what? Ectopia cordis. So that is all about development of the what? Heart too. Please don't forget that in my next video, I'm going to be talking about septation of the heart, which I'm going to explain how the chambers of the heart are forming septation. And at the end of this video, there's always a practice question that can enhance your understanding on what.
Download more on freenigerbeats.com.